Okay, well, we have an amazing group of retailers here. So first of all, I think I've been on a bit of a roller coaster ride with that last presentation where we were all down and now we're feeling a little bit more perky and then maybe there is light at the end of the tunnel. But the reality, I think, is that it is a harsh environment out there and we'll hear more about it. Before that, do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Nicole Shippard. I work at Big W and I lead the customer experience across our web and our app channels.
Hi, everyone. I'm Costa, a co-founder of DesignerX. I don't know if it's working. DesignerX is a peer-to-peer fashion renting platform. We've got over 50,000 listings on the platform. You can jump on designerx.com.au. We empower our users to be able to upload their fashion items, predominantly it's females, and then we give them the tools to be able to rent it out to each other and earn income.
Hi everyone, I'm Adina Tudor. I'm ex-GM of Alchemy Group. I was GM of Search Stitch over there. Welcome everyone.
Amazing, thanks guys. So let's kick it off and just talk to the environment to begin with, because obviously this is a very challenging trading space that we're in at the moment. Nicole, starting with you, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're seeing out there?
Yeah, sure. And I guess, we just heard some really great insights then. And working for a discount department store, our customers often tend to be on the lower socioeconomic end and often looking for a bargain. So yes, we have seen it hit us quite big and quite differently too. And obviously we've seen the rise of some of the players like Temu in the market as well. That being said, we launched our Big W Market last year, and that's been a really great way for us to engage different customers, particularly those at the higher end or people who may not have considered Big W previously as a place to shop. And we'll probably get into the discussion about change and what motivates people to change and consider other brands. We've definitely been seeing people take longer to make purchases, so very much using things like wish lists and coming back to buy things, particularly if they then happen to be on sale or clearance or some sort of offer or motivation has come through for them to buy. But yeah, it is challenging and it's softening, but you just got to look at different ways to start engaging people.
And yeah, off the back of Nicole, we've noticed discretionary spending is down. I think it was touched on before. The events that are down, inflation's up, obviously it's having an impact on e-commerce across the board. So we're always looking at innovative ways of moving the needle. So yeah, we've noticed it as well.
Same around with Search Stitch, especially that Search Stitch has a community of surfers, lifestyle, sport. A lot of people come to the website, traffic is healthy, but then the same how we've seen from Kenstar, a lot of looking around, shopping, like window shopping, going away, coming back, comparing prices, especially in the surfing industry where a lot of high discounts have been put on in the COVID years. People hold on to their products for a longer time, especially if you're a surfer and if you buy a wetsuit every 2 years, you might hang on to that wetsuit for another year. So purchases are coming slowly back, but people are very considerate with their spending.
Amazing. I guess sort of leads to a question, how are you finding, if people are more considered with their purchases, how are you finding loyalty? Like are people becoming very price driven and promiscuous in terms of looking for wherever the best deal is and that's where they go? Or do you find that your customer still comes back, it just takes them longer, their purchasing cycles are a little bit different to before?
Yeah, and I'm always very controversial when people use the word loyalty with me. I think very few brands have true loyalty. I think what we need to be careful of, particularly in our industry, but across all industries, particularly in retail, is heavily discounting, because that's a race to the bottom for everyone. It doesn't do anyone any good. There will be people that just want to get the cheapest prices, but you also, you need to understand where your customers are, because your customer's not always the same for every need. Is there parents in the audience? I know I'm a parent. I actually just finished my last book week today. So I'm kind of a little bit sad, but not too sad about that, because I'm not a very organised person, and I think there's more than just me out there that's not that person, and all of a sudden there's this must need, I have to have this costume for this day. And we saw in particular come through in even our voice of customer, and that people all of a sudden wanted to say, well, I need express shipping because I need it tomorrow. So they're trying to find and they're trying to filter for that. So I think what we need to think about is your customers not always going to have the same need all the time. So it's how do you work out those needs and those opportunities at the time. Sometimes it'll just be, yeah, I want a $5 t-shirt because my kid's going to wreck it in 2 days. But other times it might be, I need something longer. Or there's a whole big thing because people want that security now because they are giving their money away, hard-earned trust. It's, what's your, we're seeing a big rise in that whole returns, refunds thing too, right? Like if removing that ambiguity in the purchase, and if I get it wrong, can I get my money back? And then, even more importantly, how quickly can I get my money back and get something in place? So there's different things that you can be thinking about there, particularly with loyalty and engagement.
In our case, we're fortunate in the sense that we do provide a platform that you can wear your luxury dress for a fraction of the cost. So we kind of fit into a down market in a way. And as a marketplace as well, we also offer a means for our lender side of the marketplace to be earning an income, which is what you want to be doing, I guess, in a downturn as well. So we're kind of fortunate in that sense as a marketplace, and there's a sustainable one at that. So that's how we're seeing it.
From a loyalty standpoint, I think it's more around from search basing on community, and the customer reacts really well with different competitions and gift with purchase that sometimes entices them to convert that. But the collaborations and the competitions that you do, if they're not aligned to the brand, it seems very forced and very fake. So you have to be very careful with what collaborations and what competitions you put together.
So, I guess pick up on a couple of the points there. Nicole, your comment about having to have different offerings, that's really interesting. I think, the one message I've been taking all year is that there are sort of 9 speeds in this economy. I'm picking a number here. Like, there's just a lot of different types of consumers out there. You've got Gucci on the rise, but you've got Aldi on the rise, and the same consumer could be the same one. So your point about the need for express shipping tomorrow, if I need it, I'm going to pay for it. How do you think about those offerings in terms of your retention strategy? Like, is that part and parcel, or is it just a case of you need to offer everything to everyone all the time, or is it more specific than that?
Yeah, it's something that's on our mind now, and particularly, obviously, as soon as a standard's set in the industry, that's what I'm saying, if you keep discounting, we're all going to race to the bottom and not make any money. But people do kind of expect free shipping now, and there's different thresholds that people will leverage on that. Sometimes it's kind of okay if it's a big item, if it's a trampoline, I'm kind of expecting to pay something, but what is it going to be? I think we are a bit of a just one stop for everyone now. We've tried to do some nuancing around states and locations, but we need to start getting more into the nitty gritty of we know who our customers are and their propensity to pay, particularly with our Everyday Rewards program and shopping across our different Woolworths Group brands as well. And we do need to get smarter about it because, every time you're giving away that free shipping, it's a $1 off your bottom line. So are we doing it? No, but it is on our mind, and it's how do we actually make that model work? And obviously there's the subscription-based models, there's all different things, and it's where do you pull the levers and where do you leave them alone to try and make that work? But yeah, still something for to nail, yeah.
I agree, the race to the bottom. I don't think discounts are the way to go long term. And something that we're very focused on constantly is innovation. So what we did in our industry, for example, we integrated with Uber. So we've got over 50,000 dresses, but because we're peer-to-peer, they're not all coming out of one warehouse, which is a typical e-commerce way, or a few. Ours are in over 7,000 different locations. So our Uber integration enables our users to be able to hop on, type in their postcode, or our system might recognise if you've already previously used Designer X, and you can see what fashion items are available within 2 hours. So I think doubling down on tools for your consumer, but ones that deliver value, not just gimmicky ones, and then measuring the data once you release that feature or whatever it is, measuring the data.
Going back now to my board riders here, where I was fortunate enough to work with brands like Quicksilver, Roxy, these issues and so on, keeping the customer engaged and giving those loyal customers something different. And yes, free shipping sometimes it works way better than a 20% off. It's amazing how much free shipping has changed in our industry. But then also finding items that the customer really engages with and they come back for. It's amazing when you say free pair of socks with a pair of shoes, and then you have so much uptake on a promotion like that, which it doesn't shout discount, but just gives something back to the customer that they feel a bit more engaged and they're coming back for the free pair of socks.
Perceived value, absolutely. So, okay, so now this is interesting. We've got a consumer that's very price sensitive at the moment, but at the same time, you know, both of you have mentioned express shipping, Uber. These are you know, expedited options. So let's talk to shipping for a second. How big a part of the proposition is shipping versus price? Like if we take Temu as an example, right? Temu is all about price. It gets to you when it gets to you. They're not bad, but I mean, it's not, they're not winning any awards. How are you thinking about it in terms of the price versus service, or in this case, let's just say shipping speed, that you know, the trade-off, and what consumers are responding to?
Yeah, I think people now roughly, particularly if you live anywhere on the eastern seaboard, are expecting something within 5 days for standard shipping. And if you're not sort of falling within that, they're going to get kind of pissed off. I think the biggest thing, though, is what you can leverage is, and I went to another thing when they were talking about Wismo, which is where is my order, and it's how do we get rid of Wismo. And that's all customers really want to know. And I actually had experience with my bookweek costume that I did pay for express shipping for myself, not through Big W, through somebody else. We didn't have it. And they told me it was coming yesterday, and that didn't come. And then so I went to this flurry of contacting Australia Post and checking everything, and it arrived. Sorry, it was meant to come Tuesday, and it came yesterday. But I'm like, the information was wrong, which then stressed me out. So it's how do you make sure your customers have the right information, regular updates, so they know, and that's where Uber and things work really well, right? You know to the street to the time where that person's going to come to you. So you really need to be thinking about those elements. But I think it's kind of on the, like, that's sort of what gets people in, right? You're talking about how do you get someone in the first time. So sometimes offering free shipping, sometimes offering a free gift with purchase, something to get them in, but it's the follow-up that's then going to be important. So yeah, how did you service them? When something went wrong, how did you get them back in? And I even have a great example from General Pants, where my daughter decided that was the only shop she could buy jeans from. And we found the jeans, but not in the right colour. And I was just like, oh, this is so annoying. Now I have to go to Bondi. I don't want to go to Bondi. And then the lady in the shop just went, hey, like, we can get them from the shop for you, and we'll send them to your house for you. And you don't need to do anything else, just give us the details. And then the next day they came to my house. And that's brilliant, right? Yeah. And I tell that story to lots of people, and that will keep me going back there because it removes a pain point for me. It's not about price, it's not about anything else. It's keeping my child happy, which keeps me happy, and I didn't have to spend any extra time. So time's also money. And what else can you do for customers that can remove pain point to keep them engaged? Because most customers are resistant to change. We're all habitual. I'm sure lots of people here, if you ask people with, you know, same sort of brand, same sort of things, people kind of do that. It's only something has to be a momentum to make you change, and it could be that you can't afford it anymore. It could be that you were forced into a situation to buy it because it was out of stock somewhere else. It could be a recommendation. So once you've got that change and you've got them there, you've got to keep them looped in. So if you're causing people friction or reason to consider an alternative, that's when you've got challenges.
Yeah, and I think it really depends on your industry and what's the pain point of that industry. In our case, there's not much more you can discount. They're renting, you know, a Server Labour or Zimmerman $1,000 dress for $150. It's not so much the $150. It's how can we make it more accessible. So that was our pain point, especially peer-to-peer. What technology is going to make that drive efficiently? So I think it really depends on your industry and really going granular into what's causing that friction. Yeah, if it's commodity jeans, you know, I wouldn't suggest just reducing the price as a strategy.
Absolutely. And if you think about the first chart that Sarah showed up there with the roller coaster and the anxiety, shipping hits both ways. First, the CFO has anxiety when the shipping line on the P&L it's not going the right direction, and then shipping from the customer, the anxiety of the customer when they placed an order and when is that order going to arrive. So keeping them both happy, and this is where we're talking about omni-channel and how click and collect comes into place, and having those messages lined up between online and in-store when you drive traffic into store, because you have something online, make sure that the messages do talk to each other and they're aligned. And yes, when you can't ship something out of your warehouse in 2 days before Christmas and the anxiety is right there on the top of the roller coaster, the in-store kicks in and the click and collect, and kicking that in, it mediates that anxiety.
Feeling a bit of PTSD from previous Christmases and what we're going to be going through shortly. All right, so this touches on, I guess, the next topic, which is personalisation, because really what I'm hearing is there's no one size fits all here. How are you thinking about personalisation?
Well, we're thinking about it a lot, and we're also testing and learning a lot, and I'm such a big believer in this, and that's not revolutionary and it's not a new concept, but the craziest, littlest idea, like just test, because I've been proven wrong so many times in our team. And we actually found a very reverse trend, particularly in our search results, where we thought trying to hyper-personalise search results for our customers would drive increased conversions. But we kind of have a bit of a Me Too shopping vibe going on with a lot of our customers, that like you just release this gum nut baby onesie, I know my mate's got it, so I have to have it, and everyone has to have it. So they kind of want that sort of more power of the crowd. What's everyone else buying? Because I need to prove that I'm a good mum by buying what everyone else is buying, which is kind of a bit weird for me, but that's what motivates a lot of our customers. So yeah, we're testing and learning with a lot of different things at the moment. I think particularly like cross-channel,
Yes.
like we definitely haven't nailed that digital to shopping experience, yes, but really thinking around, we know our customers tend to be families, particularly young families, for anyone that's got a toddler or a baby in the house, and you quite easily will get distracted or stop what you're doing. So you might have someone that's going from their laptop to their phone and back again, and so it's how do we quickly and seamlessly let them pick up and do that. And you know, basic ecom 101, but abandoned cart emails we're finding and push notifications are probably some of the ones that are working the best for us at the moment. And again, just those wish list reminders. If someone's put something in their wish list for whatever reason, it's drawn their attention, it's how do we resurface that back up in their discovery journey so they're reminded that they did like that at one stage, and surfacing them offers. So yeah, a few things in the pipeline, but sometimes some of the simplest things are working the best still too.
Our biggest challenges with personalisation revolve around the number of listings, because as you grow now with over 50,000 listings, it becomes filtering those listings to what's suitable for you. That becomes a constant challenge. The other thing is personalisation can be a double-edged sword, because if you don't get it right, you might be offering something or not offering something that the consumer would have otherwise purchased. So you kind of got to get it right. I think where there's scope, that there's a lot of benefit if you can get at least the basics right. For example, in our case, remembering the size. The size is generally going to be the same across. It can vary between brands, but things like remembering size and of course names is a basic one. But be careful of going too fancy, because it can be a double-edged sword. I guess that's the experience.
Agree. And personalization in terms of geolocation is quite important. I found that I moved around lately and I get the same. And so, well, I'm not in the same state anymore, so why does that not follow me? So I think that there's, depends on the tech stack and what you're using at the moment. But yes, I think that investment in a good personalization service, it goes a long way.
And I want to just pick up on a point you raised there too about the double-edged sword, because we have a huge propensity for gifting. And if you're just personalising based on previous behaviour, you can kind of get yourself into a weird situation. And I remember having that experience years and years ago, this is how long ago it was, with Amazon, and I brought my brother a Debbie Gibson CD, Don't Judge. And then all of a sudden, all of my recommendations were around Debbie Gibson. And I was like, I really don't care. Please stop showing me this stuff.
You can definitely get it wrong. And sometimes they want to see the different options, without you telling them, oh, you like Zimmerman or you just like Sir the Label. It is a double-edged sword. Do use it sparingly, but get your basics right. If there's something that you know is going to be consistent across the board, like geolocation and size in our case, then get that right.
Are there any interesting pieces? I mean, I'm going to commend us. We haven't said AI the whole way through, but are there any sorry? Are there any interesting pieces of tech that you guys have played with, or some tools out there that you're like really happy with, or that you would call out as being things that you would recommend?
It's be hard because you don't want to offend anyone in the industry.
MoEngage.
No, we're none of us are customers of MoEngage. So
Look, I think the other thing as well, when you're looking at new tools, you really got to consider, are you going deep with your existing tools? I think that's something overlooked. Are we really using those gazillion features that we've already integrated with before we look at new integrations? The other thing as well is, when you're looking at a new tool, is how long will it take for the integration? What resources from a tech perspective do I have? Is it going to be a 6-month journey that takes our business away from where it should be focused? So there's a lot of different factors other than just the consumer journey. It's very, very important that you look at the overall commercial perspective of the business. And I'm sure, as you go to businesses like Big W, that would be mammoth. That challenge would be mammoth. But yeah.
Yeah, look, I think look, I probably don't really want to name names, and I'm not a customer of MoEngage, and I'm sure their product is amazing. So I just go speak to one of the people afterwards. But the thing with me, I think when you're looking at most pieces of tech that promise to do something, 80% of the time they can, right? Otherwise they wouldn't be in business and they wouldn't be keeping customers. So that kind of just ticks the box. But back to your point, it's how do you leverage what you purchase, and how do you partner with the people that you've purchased that from to keep understanding and growing and evolving as that evolves with it. I think we've had, and I'm happy to talk about this in one-on-one groups later, but we've had 2 different pieces of software we've onboarded, and in their own right, they're both amazing. One, I would say we're doing really great things with continual learning, really improvement, and we have a really great partnership with that organisation where we can ask them questions, they're feeding us back in changes that they're making, and we're growing together because they see that benefits them and vice versa. On the other hand, we've got another piece of software. The tool itself is great, and I think we've bought the Ferrari and it's sitting in the garage is the case. So we've spent a lot of money now, and we're kind of doing really basic things with it, and it's not a smart investment from our point of view. But part of that too, to be fair, was on our side, not understanding the people, the process, and the things that we would need to implement to make that effective in our organisation. So,
We've integrated with tools. I won't mention names. We've integrated tools, and they were great tools as well, where we found, hang on, to actually support this, we're going to need resources that we didn't have. We just didn't have in-house. So we had to outsource. And then, not only that, it's not just getting resources that will manage it, but it's also understanding how to manage those resources. Look, what do you want out of the project? It's hard to know what you want out of a product when you don't really know much about it yourself. So there's a bit of a learning curve that we need to allow for. But it can definitely take your business to the next level, and that's true.
Agreed. Look at what you have, optimize as much as you can optimize. And when you can't optimize anymore, then research. Again, start with your team, research what you actually need, the talent that you have within the team, then research what's out there in the market. And the partnership that you create with the service that you're going to onboard is absolutely crucial.
I just feel like every one of the things you mentioned, I've had this experience, and I feel all the scar tissue from all of it.
But this is a therapy session for you, all the bring up all the trauma.
But no, I mean, like I totally, we've bought the Ferrari, it's sat in the garage, and we bought highly spec'd tools where we're only using 20%, and you just have to dig a little bit further to get heaps more value out of it before you move on to the next shiny ball that comes through. Are there any questions in the crowd? Anybody got some dying questions before we finish up?
Yeah, I can say we're very focused on our partnerships solution. So we've built an integration with, to begin with Shopify. It's a Shopify app, a custom Shopify app, and we're partnering with retailers. We've trialled it on our first, and it uplifted their sales. Essentially, at the point of sale, we're showcasing the profit potential of a fashion item. So unlike selling when a consumer's about to buy a dress, typically if they're buying for 1,000 and then they resell it, they might resell it for 500, so it's a loss-making exercise. Whereas the difference with renting is it can be a profit-making exercise. So showcasing the profit potential at checkout, and we've done the first trial, and now we're going to be focused on that for the next 12 months.
I would say inventory management. Be very careful with that because cash is scarce sometimes. and also have a look at your tech stack and, again, optimize and innovate when you need to.
What I'd love to do, but I won't be doing it in the next 12 months, just for transparency, is just to really create dynamic, tailored customer journeys through our website and app based on what the customer needs to do. We make it far too hard for people to get from that's the thing I need into now it's, you know, checked out and coming to me. So, you know, I'll give a good example. You know, when we have a big event called Toy Sale every year, that's in June. And that's all you ever hear about from Big W. So we've already alienated a whole audience of people that have no interest in toys because they're like, I have to get through 5 things in your catalogue and your pop-up and everything else to get there. So it's how do we still make their shopping experience enjoyable?
All right. Would you all join me in thanking the panel for their amazing feedback?